bittersweet moment for me right here on account of two fronts. The first front is that this will be the last video I make for this course, and I have enjoyed greatly conversing with you and working with you during the course of the year, and this is the last time I get to do this, so that's kind of sad. On the other hand, I do get to tie more flies after this, which is pretty cool. The next thing is that these were the kind of questions that I worked on a lot when I was in school, and then also when I first started teaching, and so on and so forth. So because of that, brings back a bunch of old memories from way back when. I would sing for you, but my singing is pathetic. I was cut from a church choir. That's a true story. I tried out for the church choir, and on the left-hand side, the lady on the left side of the piano keys, she hit a key. She went, sing this key, and I went, Then she hit one in the middle, and I went, And then she hit one on the right side, I went, She goes, yeah, the church needs help with other things. That is a true story. So I am definitely a horrible vocalist. So fortunately, I teach math better than I sing, and if I had to depend on my singing ability to pay the bills, it wouldn't work out. Or as my dad used to tell me, don't quit the day job. All right, so the key to these kind of questions is to find all the arcs. Once you find the arcs, then all the formulas we know about angles all fall into place. The problem is when you start trying to find the angles before you find the arcs. So what I always counsel kids to do is not pay attention to what they're asking you to find here. What I always counsel them to do is to do their prep work. And the prep work is to make sure that you find the arcs. So let's read through the given. In the accompanying diagram of circle O, diameter AD, that's diameter, that's very important. It splits that means it's splitting, this top two sets of arcs have to add up to 180, and the bottom two set of arcs have to add up to 180. And it says that the measure of angle BAD is 40. BAD is right here. Angle BAD is 40. And it says the measure of arc AE is 5 times as big as ED. So the first thing I did was figure out the measure of arc BD, because angle A is 40. That's an inscribed angle. So the arc that it intercepts, which is arc BD, is always going to be double the angle. I mean, we like to say the angle's half the arc, but it's the same exact statement as the arc is double the angle. So if the measure of the angle is 40, then the measure of arc BD has to be 80. So that also implies that the measure of arc AB has to be 100, because together they add up to 180 because they're one side of a diameter. So the measure of arc BD is 80. Now, as far as getting the measure of arc DE and arc AE, well, in this particular case, they add up to 180 again. So 5x plus 1x is 180. 6x is 180 divided by 6x is 30. And at this point, I know the other arc is 5 times x, which is 5 times 30, or 150. So the measure of arc AE is 150. Now, it also means the measure of arc DE is 30. So those two things should be kept in mind. Now the measure of angle ACE. And now angle ACE is outside the circle. It's made up of two tangents, so it's the difference of the arcs. One arc is 150, the other arc is 80. So I subtract 150 minus 80 and I get 70. Half of 70 is 35. The measure of angle AED, this angle here, well, that's on the circle, so it's half the intercepted arc, and it intercepts 180 degrees. Half of 180 is 90. And then measure of angle ADC, it's not going to be on the final, anything like this, so don't even worry about it, nor will a question this involved be on the final. But just so you know, the way to do a question like this, because it's where a secant meets a chord, and when secants meet chords, you can't apply it's on the circle, half the angle rule. But you can say, what are the three angles of a triangle? And the three angles of a triangle have to add up to 180. So if 40 and 35 add up to 75, the missing angle has to be 105. Number 17, as shown in the diagram, what do you got going on here? This is a dilation. Look, it's getting bigger. Number 18, what's the non-shaded area? Well, the shaded area, that's going to be 10 times 10 or 100. The non-shaded area, well, forget that. The big square is going to be 30 times 30, which is 900. So the non-shaded area is going to be 900 minus the 100, which is 800, over the total area if you want probability, which is what this question wants. Probability is the number of ways to do the thing you're looking to do, which in this case is 800 square units, over 900 total square units, so it's 8/9. The ratio of two supplementary angles is 3 to 6. What's the measure of the smaller angle? Supplementary means adds up to 180. As soon as they give me a ratio, I'm thinking 3x and 6x. So 3x plus 6x is 180. 9x is 180 dividing by 9. I get that x is 20. But they don't want x. They want to know the smaller angle. That's 3 times x, which is 20. 3 times 20 is 60. Okay, a dog is tied up with a rope to a stake in the ground. Mean people. We don't do that to our dogs, do we? The length of the rope is 5 yards. What is the area in square yards in which the dog can roam? Well, it's the area of a circle, because when you have a rope, the dog can make a circle around the rope of a radius of 5. So that's pi r squared, which is pi times 5 squared, which is 25 pi. Number 21. A builder is building a rectangular deck with the dimensions of 16 by 30 to ensure that the sides make a 90-degree angle. What should each diagonal measure? So the diagonal is equal to the hypotenuse. So 16 squared plus 30 squared, leg squared plus leg squared, is the hypotenuse squared, which is x squared. So 256 plus 900 is x squared. That's 1156 is x squared. 34 is x. Okay. Number 22, in the accompanying diagram of triangle ABC, there's an exterior angle here by extending side AB through D. If CBD is 30, and if AB is congruent to BC, which makes it an isosceles triangle, what's the measure of angle X? Well, remember, the measure of an exterior angle is equal to the sum of the two remote interior angles. So X plus X have to add up to 30. 2x is 30, X is 15. Or you could look at it as the supplement of 30 is 150. And since you're in a triangle and you got to add up to 180, 180 minus 50 is 30, and those two angles are equal. So 30 divided by 2 is 15. Choice 1. Number 23. Miss Brewer's art class is drawing reflected line images. She wants the students to draw images reflected in a line. Reflected images. And then she wants the one that's in a line. Which represents it drawn correctly? Choice 3. Triangle ABC is reflected over the line right in the middle there. Number 24. On the banks of a river. Springsteen has a great song called The Price You Pay. And on the banks of the river she stayed. See, I told you I shouldn't sing. I'll shut up now. On the banks of a river, surveyors marked locations A, B, and C. The measure of angle ACB is 70. So angle ACB is 70. The measure of angle ABC is 65. And, using the three angles of a triangle add up to 180. The missing one is 45. So the shortest side will be BC because that's across from the smallest angle. The longest side will be AB because it's across from the biggest angle. And the medium angle is 65, so AC is the medium side. So which expression is related properly? BC, the smallest one, is shorter than AC, which is shorter still, or less than, AB. Choice 3. Number 25. So the diagonals of a parallelogram of any sort always bisect each other. So that means that BE is going to be congruent to DE, and 2/3 x is going to equal x minus 10. Subtracting x from both sides. Usually we start with the 2/3 x, but that would put everything on one side and leave the other side equal to 0. So I broke tradition and subtracted x from both sides. So negative 1/3 x is negative 10, multiplying both sides by negative 1/3, and I get x is 30. If you check it real quick, right, 2/3 of 30 is 20, and 30 minus 10 is, 2/3 of 30 is 20, and 30 minus 10 is 20. So it does check. Choice 2 is the correct one. The test savvy, the reason I wrote that down there was to say, if you're taking this problem, there is no way that a length can ever be negative. So choices 1 and 3 you should eliminate right away. And then you say to yourself, okay, so if I have to guess, at least you're guessing to the point where you say, I know it's not a negative. So the odds of you getting it right went from 1 out of 4 to 1 out of 2. And now, last but not least, our last question of the year, and it's an easy one. The accompanying diagram shows the roof of a house that is in the shape of an isosceles triangle. The vertex angle formed at the top is 84 degrees. How big is x? So 180 minus 84 is 96. Just a reminder here that the base angles are congruent. Split it in half, 48. So that is the measure of the angle. Listen, good luck on your final exam. I hope you do a fantastic job. I'm rooting for you big time. Have yourself a great one. Take care. Bye-bye.